If you search for podcasts on Google, the very first result that shows up is a definition that says podcasts are a digital medium consisting of an episodic series of audio, digital radio, PDF, or EPUB files subscribed to and downloaded through web syndication or streamed online to a computer or mobile device. Wikipedia says that the word podcast is a neologism and a portmanteau derived from the words broadcast and pod, from the success of the iPod, as audio podcasts are often listened to on portable media players. Back in the day before there was television, radio stations frequently had weekly radio broadcasts that families would listen to inside their homes that featured a variety of different topics, genres, and interests. Podcasts are a modern version of this entertainment. According to iPodder.org, the term podcasting first appeared in an article by Ben Hammersley, the first one to use the term, in an issue of The Guardian. However, Adam Curry is believed to be the first person to actually come up with the idea of putting content into small files and releasing them episodically to the public. And in 2004, podcasting became a phenomena that companies, websites, activism groups, and subcultures began using to discuss important topics and expand their fan base. iPodder also states that Tristan Lewis was the first person to come up with the initial design of the RSS feed, but the idea wasn't fully fleshed out until David Weiner actually created it. Weiner, along with Adam Curry, developed the idea of audio blogging. Stephen Downes created an application that gathered audio files and made it so that they could be streamed on different audio devices. The first ever podcast is still available on the Conversations Network, which is owned by Doug Kaye. Serial, considered to be one of the most popular podcasts of all time, is an investigative, non-fiction look at a murder that happened in Baltimore in 1999. Other popular podcasts include Welcome to Night Vale, Stuff You Should Know, and the NPR Wait Don't Tell Me podcast. Before this project, I didn't have a lot of knowledge or background information about podcasts. I've listened to a couple of podcasts. I used to listen to the Leaky Cauldron podcast, which was about Harry Potter, and nowadays I listen to the Grace Helbig podcast called Not Too Deep. Podcasts are they're pretty recent technology. They're about 10 years old, so I don't think that they've had the same mainstream success that a lot of other forms of technology have had, but as Jonathan will explain, they're extremely advantageous for librarians or those who are working in the library field. Podcasts promote intellectual freedom, they promote knowledge, and most of all, they're a forum for people who want to share ideas with a lot less regulations than other forms of media.
I'm going to be telling you about how you can make your own podcast. There's a number of different ways and different programs you can use to create a podcast, but no matter what, you're going to have to consider several key factors, including theme, format, what equipment you're going to use, scripting, episode length, scheduling and copyright issues. To make an entry-level podcast, you can find all the resources you need online for free. All right, creating your own podcast. First thing you're going to want to consider is what theme do you want to cover. Try to pick something you're interested in, but don't be too broad. The best podcasts are specific and deal directly with one topic or idea. Next thing you're going to want to consider is how you're going to present your information. What format do you want to use? Is there going to be an introduction? Will you include music? What kind of segments will you have? How are your ideas going to flow together? There is going to be equipment. What recording software do you want to use? Two really good free programs are Audacity and Acoustica Basic. Audacity seems to be the favorite. There's lots of options with mixers, effects, plugins. It has multi-platform operation. It can do just about anything you need to do for creating a podcast. Other equipment to consider are microphones. That's probably the most important one. Mixers and pop filters are sometimes used by professionals but aren't really necessary for an entry-level blog. Next thing to consider is scripting. Like any presentation, a podcast is better if more planning is involved. It should contain an introduction, letting the audience know about your show, your topic, yourself, and your guest. Make a plan of attack to move through your interview. You don't want it to be over-scripted, but you want to make sure you cover all your talking points and make sure you stay on topic. Next thing to consider is episode length. Try and keep it to around an hour. People tend to lose interest if it's too much longer than that, or don't even, start it to begin with. You can offer full content if your interviews go longer than that, but try and edit it to a reasonable time and try and be consistent with it. You don't need to release podcasts on specific dates, but if you don't, try and give listeners an idea of when your next podcast will be available. Another important thing is copyright. Don't use copyrighted materials unless you get the correct permissions. There are sites available with free content. Free Sound and Creative Commons are both really good ones. Creative Commons actually has all the information you need to copyright your podcast so that people can use it, but you're going to get credit. Next thing to do is get started and record an audio file. Once you've picked your recording program, it's going to take a little while to get used to. Just practice. There's lots of tutorials available on YouTube and other sites. It's just going to take a little while to get used to. Try and edit out long pauses at the end and adjust your vocal volume so they're going to be equal. But you don't have to, editing doesn't have to be overly complicated. The thing to do is upload your podcast. Some obvious options are going to be WordPress, Podbean, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Podcasts are XML files that index MP3 files. So to create an XML feed, you're going to, so your podcast is downloadable, you need an RSS2 enclosure. Sites like WordPress and PodPress will do this automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about it. FeedBurner is another really good thing to use. It monitors how many visits you get on your website. It also allows people to subscribe not only on your site but also via email. Last thing you're going to need to do is just promote it. Make sure you update your site often. Let people know on Facebook what's going on with it. Let people know about future guests coming up. Answer questions, go with responses. That's pretty much it. All right, that's everything you really need to know about making a podcast. I'll make sure to publish all the websites that I listed along with this video, and I hope you have fun.
I'm Jonathan Lee, and I'll be discussing podcasts and libraries. Many public libraries around the U.S. regularly produce podcasts. A few examples include the New York Public Library, the Free Library of Philadelphia, the Nashville Public Library, the Los Angeles Public Library, the Seattle Public Library. Public libraries use podcasts to both preserve and share recordings of author talks, library events, and oral histories. Some discuss local programs or new additions to their collection. Many public libraries use podcasts as a way to reach teens in their community. Some libraries offer classes on how to make and use podcasts. In fact, this year ALA has hosted multiple webinars on the topic. Libraries share their podcasts on their website, along with other services like iTunes, who distribute many popular podcasts, and SoundCloud, like this one from the DC Public Library. If you were to ask a librarian about podcasts, they might say, "You mean the thing that I listen to at work?" I mean, I listen to podcasts throughout the day when I'm working in the stacks, and I know lots of other librarians that do as well. Due to rapid changes in technology and information sharing, librarians have been trying new approaches to making on-demand content available for their users. Podcasts provide librarians with a unique opportunity to share a variety of content in a cost-effective and easily accessible format. They are a viable alternative for sharing research or delivering lessons to students, staff, library users on a variety of topics. Podcasts can be used in training new employees, explaining new policies, or discussing issues throughout the library. They can also be used to introduce specific parts of the library collection to users, or explaining research techniques to students. Auditory learners particularly benefit when podcasting is incorporated in lesson plans or curriculums or other learning platforms,